the way it should be. It should be. And we are live. Welcome, good people. Today we will do a little talk about whether America should indeed go help Mexico with their problems with the gangs. But considering that there's not a lot of people here right now, I'm here with my guest Alicia, and we're going to talk about random shit for about a few minutes, and then we'll start with the topic at hand. Now, St. Clair said he might be able to join, so maybe he'll join us later. John may be here as well. He's gone now, but he might come back. Let's see where this all takes us today, shall we? So, Alicia, welcome back. It's a long time since you were here.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while. What is this, like, I don't know, Wednesday. Oh, shit, it's Wednesday. Okay, yeah, that's right. It's because my, the sensei for Raven moved things around, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so it's thrown off all of my scheduling and everything. It's really funny. And see, I just forgot again that today is karate day. How weird. How weird. But things will be weird for a while because Devin's coming back home, so Drusilla will be here for a few weeks. So that'll be nice.
Hi there,
Yeah.
Chris, by the way. And John, stop whining. You're part of the furniture. You're not a guest. Just like I'm not a guest on this channel either. So come on.
I didn't say that. You said my guest Alicia. So it's like, oh, apparently I'm not part of it.
He said John might show up.
You weren't sure whether you would come live with us.
Then I won't.
That's not your choice. As I said, you might.
Look, you had Alicia as your guest, and you said, John's gone away and he might be here. And it's like, I've literally gone for a piss. Sorry.
No, because pre-stream you also said you weren't sure whether you would come live with us.
I literally did not.
John, seriously, come on, man. Never mind.
Did you hear me say that, Alicia?
No, I thought you said you had to go to the restroom or something.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really paying attention, I don't think.
No, but
because
I pre-stream. I wasn't thinking of being here. I told him I had opinions, and they would be utterly uninformed as always.
Yeah, true that. Anyway, are you trying to impersonate the HBR live streams? I don't know. In all fairness, I have yet to watch a single one of theirs, which is really unfair because people keep telling me I should, but I don't tend to watch live streams, Richard Beyer, which is also weird considering I have at least one every week. 2, if we count the one that I have with John. Well, we usually have 2 together. There is that. No, I haven't. John, do we do the same thing as? Do we do the same thing as the Honor Badger Radio? Do you think so?
John?
Hello.
John?
Hello.
Modwayne asked you a question, didn't he?
I did.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't want to get between him and his guest. Sorry.
Don't be a doll. Stop. But it was funny because that is funny. That is funny.
Thank you. That was the intention. I got you to laugh. That's good.
Well, that's good. I needed a good laugh.
So, but are we like Honey Badger Radio?
That is a dreadful question to ask me because, like, in what sense?
Well, I don't know. What the fuck are you trying to impersonate Honey Badger Radio? According to Richard, so I don't know. We didn't have any technical difficulties today. Not a single one. I might like to tell you. Everything's working fine. I mean, you can hear me, you can hear Alicia, and you can hear John, right? And now you can't because no one is talking. Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Talk, John. Talk, because I need to send this message real quick. Talk.
Well, unfortunately, they all opine.
Trouble is they won't have heard what you said, to which that is a response, until after they've read the response.
True that. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know how much the lag will influence because they will see stuff later as well.
No, because that is a response to what you said.
Yeah, okay.
You said you can hear me, you can hear Alicia, you can hear John, and the response I typed was, unfortunately, they all opine.
Okay. Yeah, that is true, and that is a lag thing, and there's nothing much we can do about that, unfortunately. Okay, so well, it's Wednesday.
Sorry, I'm just.
Does Elemis have the crop top?
It means Alicia.
Oh.
What did I do wrong?
It's that joke. No, you did nothing wrong. Do you remember that conversation I was relaying to you about the crop top?
Oh, yeah.
So Richard brought it up again, and he asked if you've got it on, and I've told him you have. And if only he could enjoy it the way we do.
That would be funny.
I'm sorry, but crop top? I guess
Okay, after Alicia's stream, Richard suggested that Alicia would solve her bandwidth issues somehow by wearing a low-cut top. I don't know how that works, but apparently bandwidth issues are resolved by cleavage.
Oh, right. Well, I can show some. Oh no, wait a second. My camera.
No. I think he was more interested. I think he's more heterosexual. He's more interested in Alicia.
Well, I'll not.
Besides which, you don't show yourself anyway.
No, that's true. My camera is dead.
No, but you never showed yourself when you had a camera.
Well, yeah, it has happened once or twice accidentally.
Has it?
Yes. No, yeah.
No, I thought you were very particular.
I try to be, but it has gone wrong once or twice. Not a lot. So.
I mean, I don't show myself because it triggers Michael Keller when he sees my chest. Honestly, I've never found anything I've ever done so obsessed over.
Well, I can understand that somewhat.
Okay.
But considering we've been...
I love you too.
Hey, listen, I've seen you topless.
And I've seen you topless.
That is true. That is true. I think most of the people have seen... We haven't seen Alicia topless, mind you. But I think Alicia's seen us topless too.
I think decorum.
Yeah, fair enough.
The title standard.
I'm not advocating for it.
Unlike Richard.
No, my husband advocates for it. He said, "You'll get your numbers right up, honey."
You know, and this
get
is the
them
sick
right
thing.
up.
This is the sick thing. He's correct.
Yeah.
I remember this.
could.
Some years ago, I think it was some dumb American or something, a female YouTuber, and I haven't followed her for a long time. But I'm still following her, but I haven't seen much from her. Maybe she's gone. I don't know. But I can remember that she grew really fast, and then all of a sudden, she made a video asking if this is because she's a woman. And I responded to it. Obviously, she ignored my response, but that's okay. But yes, she became big because she was a woman. That didn't in any way devaluate the things she had to say. She made perfect sense. She made very good material, but she...
You are talking about some dumb American.
I think it was some dumb American.
But she's an idiot.
No. Well, then it may be someone else. I can't remember, but it was a female channel like that. And she made good points, but I haven't seen a lot of her work since. And there was another channel from a German girl. She spoke English, and she made really nice videos, really well edited and all that. And then all of a sudden, she started doing that. People sent her gifts, and she started opening them. And then someone sent her a dildo, and that's basically the last video she ever made.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Well, but that's the thing. She could have dealt with it differently, I think. But yes.
No, but the point is, you know, it's not nice.
Well, not. But the thing is, female channels grow faster than male channels on average, because women. But a channel may grow faster because you're a woman, but people stay because of what you have to say, and not because you're a woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why a lot of women end up stalling out.
Yeah.
I've noticed that they're climbing, and then it just stalls, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like
because they die. It's basically the whole internet thought thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have women that thrive on their looks, and this will work for some time, but then the emptiness sets in. And you have women that look good but have something to say. So people.
You can sell your bathwater.
That's brilliant.
Well,
I need to tell Devin to sell her bathwater. Oh.
It is the utmost perfect show of the stupidity of capitalism, and at the same time, the effectiveness of capitalism.
Yeah. It's funny because Devin makes more money off of Instagram than YouTube. So, new platform.
I didn't even know you could make money off of Instagram.
Oh yeah, she makes a lot of money off of Instagram.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Is it based on?
They do, like, they sell advertising slots, and if they have an agreement with, once you get to a certain amount, then you have an agreement where it's kind of like it's like YouTube, how you make money on YouTube, you know, the old way with the ads. But on Instagram, they're not irritating long ads, they're not commercials, they're just these short little snippets. And so the more followers you have, the more advertisers you can get. Then you get the
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Well, I mean, I don't want to berate anyone their success or deny anyone their success. But on average, women do better when it comes to looks. This is the silly thing. Men are interested in good-looking women, but women are interested.
That's not silly. That's perfectly fine.
But women are interested in good-looking women too. Whereas
this is also true.
Whereas men are not interested in good-looking women, but they are interested. Sorry,
no, men. Not interested
in good-looking men, but they are interested in good-looking women. So that basically means that men only have half of the cloud to start from, and there is that. But
you forget the fact that YouTube is an inherently male-dominated platform anyway, is what I keep hearing.
I keep hearing that too.
Well, I think what it is that it comes down to that distance and why you're doing it, and there's too many women. There's a lot of women that are like one-hit wonders, right? So they're popular for like a few months or maybe a year, and then they're like, eh. And I'm like, eh.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think a lot of people do that because I've seen so many channels, and it's like they start talking about putting out more content to be more
They give up.
More regular, right?
They give up.
And then give up straight after. And this happens to men just as much as women. There's so many people watching, they're gone.
It's true. Yeah, there was this one channel I really liked. He was a really smart guy. And I think his channel would have gone big. but his accent was so heavy that some people said something, it hurt his feelings, I think, and he just stopped. And I was like, and I told him, I said, your accent will slowly go away. I mean, you should be proud that you can speak English. You speak 3 languages. Don't let them fuck with you. Just, it's fine.
Well, I mean, it's funny because V writes, you know V, and he's a Romanian. And so people in his comments, in his chat, are taking the piss all the time.
Yeah.
But this is what I was saying to you about the chat last night before it happened. It's just what people do. It's not to be taken seriously or literally.
You should see the comments on that stream from last night now. Like, it is awful. People were just rude about me.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely rude. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and there were many who were just rude about you during the thing. But the point is, it's not you. They're not being rude about you. They're being rude about this stereotype in their head.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Like, no, I learned a lesson. I should have listened to everybody that had told me about, I should have listened. Why? It was kind of like I didn't believe all this shit about feminists until I went and watched a feminist conference.
I disagree with you on that one.
And I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
I disagree with you on that one. I think you did a great job. And out of all of the people there, maybe 1 or 2 will start thinking. We'll never change all of them.
Well, if one person actually thinks, that would be great.
Yeah. So don't look at the ones berating you.
Yeah.
I mean, there were guys that even before you said something, they had already made up their mind what your point was going to be.
Yeah, okay. No, I've made all these points. I made all these points. Before the stream started, I told Alicia that there were people whose minds were made up. Because they started posting chat an hour beforehand.
I think the critical thing here is that my husband was like, that wasn't Alicia. What the hell, Alicia? What happened? And I'm like, well, I had a bad day. Like, has no one ever had a bad day? And unfortunately, it happened to be this fucking day of all fucking days to be not, like, I wasn't in the right mindset anyway because, as you know, Allison's court case finally was up, and he got away with it. And so I'm like in my head,
Alicia, I sincerely think you did a good job. Could you have done better? I don't know. Maybe. Doesn't matter. You did a good job. And I know Third Flinging Monkey doesn't see it like that. And I know the other guy. But Third Flinging
Monkey is an idiot.
And I know the other guy doesn't see it like that. But you did make a few good points. And in all fairness, the two of you weren't that far apart. The only reason why you were apart at certain times was because he wanted to be apart. He wanted to disagree with you. Even though most of the things the both of you said are in line with each other. But he doesn't want to agree to that because that undermines his position.
Yeah, it undermines his selling point and his revenue stream.
Yeah.
They didn't even make much money. It was really weird. I was like, they found the cheap people. Like, they made $10. Yay.
Yeah, but listen, can you imagine me making $10 just talking to you?
No, that would be fine. That would be great. Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's still silly. I mean, the talk between you and Third Flinging Monkey, how interesting it was, inherently doesn't mean much. So why would someone pay money for it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't get. Like, so there's few YouTube creators that do stuff that I would definitely support financially, right? Like helping, say, Project Veritas. I think that's very noble what they do, and they need revenue. I know a lot of men, they'll support the honey badgers because they fight for men's rights. They're actually doing something, right? They're doing something. But these guys aren't doing anything. They're just bitching about women. Women are the cause of everything, and then they're making money off of it, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been at it long enough. The topic for today is, and unfortunately St. Clair didn't show, does America need to go into Mexico to help Mexico with their gang problem? Yes, no, etc., etc., etc. Alicia, the floor is yours.
Fuck no. It's like fuck no. Fuck no. That's exactly our problem. Is we take it on ourselves to fix everybody else's problems, and everybody needs to chill out because the Mormons have been in Mexico a long damn time, and a lot of people get killed by the drug cartel. So they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah, it's not.
Every American, when you go to Mexico, you know where to go, where not to go. Okay, this happened to be just an accidental situation. It would be like you're driving through Compton like 30 years ago.
Okay.
You make a mistake, you're driving down the road, you get in crossfires of gangbang, and you die. You know, it would just create more of a problem. We don't need a problem with Mexico. And the last thing we need to do is to start a civil war with Mexico. Because what would happen if all of a sudden the U.S. went in, they started bullying everybody around, we're going to have a wave of refugees. And they'll be able to claim refugee status. And then it'll just be like Europe and your guys' waves of migration.
Oh, good. No. That one. But okay, so now Trump said if Mexico wants, we could come and help. How would you think about that one?
We shouldn't do it.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what do we get from it? If we fix the problem, then we won't be recognized as fixing the problem. It'll just be another colonial bullshit. Americans coming in and harming in it, because inevitably an innocent person's going to die, right?
Oh yeah.
And then we're going to be seen as big old bullies, and and quite honestly, we might make it worse. We might create another Cambodia, right? We should have stayed the fuck out, and probably Pol Pot wouldn't be in power.
The funny thing is, if we look, for example, you go in there and you might kill a civilian. The Dutch military helped in Iraq, and not too long ago there was a court case because one of the military actions out of the 2,000 military actions done by the Dutch army in Iraq had a few civilian casualties. In grand total, there were 4 missions which had civilian casualties, and there was a court case about it. And I haven't ever heard of a war without civilian casualties, but in the Western world we now like to blame our military for civilians that get killed in war zones. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, it's a terrible thing that people die, but it's a war zone, so yeah, fucked if you do, fucked if you don't. This is kind of what I'm thinking about the whole Mexico situation as well. I mean, I've seen parts on the internet where people talk about no, America should definitely stay out. Which, in all fairness, I agree with. I don't think America should fix the problem of Mexico. Should America go in with police force if Mexico asks them? I don't know, maybe just merely as manpower under the Mexican authority. But yeah, American soldiers doing the bidding of the Mexican army. Maybe, but not as America, that's for sure. But it's kind of funny because a lot of people who are against it now were in favor of America going to Syria. And I'm like, how is that any different?
It's over there.
So it's a distant thing.
Oh my God, what if that's it?
Over there.
What if that's it, John? Because we've successfully not had excluding Pearl Harbor, America, we are quite privileged with this war thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
It's not on our home turf. We don't have to worry about us spilling over. But if we go in there, there is going to be a huge problem, and it will lead to a civil war. And the kind of damage that will do to the already precarious situation between Mexican Americans and certain border places, I think it would just exacerbate it, and we'd.
It's not just that, but you've got to understand that by now these cartels are incredibly powerful, incredibly well armed, and they are not going to take it lying down.
Yeah, though I have to admit that the fact that they are armed, I don't think is that big of an issue.
Oh, they are armed to the teeth.
Yes, but I do think that a well-trained army.
Modway, you haven't lived in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom had an armed group commit war for decades. Bombs just go off. People just get shot.
Well, they have tanks. They do. These drug cartels have tanks. They basically, like, it would be as if the U.S. military was going against the U.S. CIA. That's what it would be like.
No, because it's the real interest comes in how do you deal with the situation. So, how can I say this?
Well, they can't even get rid of there are exactly the same drug cartels that are running out of California from Mexico. Why don't they solve that problem first before they're jumping the border? Why are we jumping the border? Because some 9 Americans got shot. The same thing happened. Like when I went to go look at the story, it's happened so many times that it took me a while to find the most recent one. Mm-hmm. But it's American, so it's a nice political move. No.
But this is kind of the subtitle of the stream. Can America stomp out traitors from their own and other governments? Because that's basically what it boils down to. Because in all fairness, the drug cartels didn't get so big because people want them to. Politicians have been bought off. And it seems that both politicians in Mexico and in the United States have been bought off by Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah. So I'm saying they're very rich, they're very well armed, and they are not going to take it lying down.
So can an army do anything about?
You cannot suppress a population. That's your problem.
So can an army go against the people that have been bought off, against the traitors? Because I do believe that not all Mexicans are in favor of the drugs cartel. I'm more than willing to believe that most Mexicans have a problem with the drugs cartels. The problem isn't most Mexicans.
But the problem is if you become a foreign power interfering, you then unite those Mexicans who are against the drug cartels with their own people.
Well, there is a chance of that. That's true. That's true. And I don't get me wrong. I'm not here advocating in favor of America going into Mexico. Personally, I think Ron Paul said it best. The American army should be in America, period.
No, but it's not a problem. The problem of corrupt officials is not one for the military.
I agree.
Okay, so I looked it up real quick because I knew it was true, right? I knew it was true. I just wanted some facts for y'all. So in California, there's this Emerald Triangle, right? And it looks like they have illegal drugs being traded there in California within 67 national forests, right? Mm-hmm. And the California government, there's some no-go zones in California because the drug cartels are running it there. So why don't we, like, if we can't fix it in our own backyard, all we would do would be going into what? Like, how we don't even the Mexican government doesn't want to stop the drug cartels, right? They're making money.
Yeah.
So you would basically be setting up our soldiers to fail, like Vietnam. Basically, just go in, let's just go in and screw our soldiers over time and time again, like at Hamburger Hill. It basically it would just harm U.S. soldiers, get us nowhere, and we'd have to pay more taxes.
Yeah. And indeed, Richard Baer says something like this: all we need to do is pass the word to the Antifa that the cartels are fascist. And then Antifa would take care of the problem. But obviously,
that would end Antifa, it wouldn't end the cartels.
No, it wouldn't do anything because, let's be honest, Antifa is only protesting people where they think they can actually
win. and it's not just that, but they don't attack violent people who are armed to the teeth and prepared to use their weapons indiscriminately. They are prepared to protest under the full protection of the police.
So there is that. But no, I agree with you, Alicia, that there is no honor to be gotten for the American army or for America at all. And in all fairness, I don't see how this will help the Mexican people either. I agree. I think the best thing America can do is build that bloody wall.
Yeah.
And put a soldier every 2 meters just to make sure no one gets past.
Well, that's a different problem.
No, it's not. It's the same thing. The problem with the wall isn't illegal immigration. Even
No. I meant literally peopling the wall every 2 meters is a different problem.
They have the men.
Yeah, and some of the terrain is not ideal.
Doesn't matter.
Does if you're the man stuck there in the summer heat?
Listen, I mean, we can make roads and all that through mountains. The Mexican border isn't that unforgiving. So if we can do it,
I agree. We can do it. If all of a sudden we went to war with Mexico, I guarantee there would be a fence up. It's kind of like you go to South Korea, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a fence. They have a fence like in the damn ocean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they have to.
Oh, I'm not arguing against the barrier. I merely question the one specific statement of a man every 2 yards and said that is a different problem. Is all I said. I didn't even say you couldn't do it. I said that's a different problem.
It's doable and it's worth it.
Well, you can have drones in those areas, right?
There are ways you can patrol it. Is a better way of looking at it than to put a man every 2 yards.
Nope, patrolling is a bad way. And drones are not as useful.
Not patrolling as in patrol. Okay, monitor. Fuck, you always pick up the semantic points. Missing the point.
Monitoring is a bad idea as well. There are ways to kill electronic monitoring. And you don't even have to get close to them to do that.
Yeah, but if a monitor goes out, you know to go and pay attention.
Yes, but if 10 monitors go out, where do you go pay attention?
Well, if you've got the people to man it every 2 yards, then you've got the people to go to all 10.
Yes, but John, let's imagine that it takes 2 minutes to get there. You already know the next thing, right?
No, I'm wondering why on earth you're waiting until they're close enough to do that.
Because you only have so much reach. You only have so much reach. How far do you think the average camera can look?
You don't use cameras. You use satellites with heat imaging.
Sure, fair enough. So how long do you think that's going to work? Because you don't have a camera at a spatial orbit constantly just for that.
Well, you would if that's what you wanted to put your energy into. It's much more cost effective to put geostationary satellites monitoring using that kind of technology than to station human beings relatively isolated.
Not really, and heat imagery is easily manipulated.
And having one person every 2 yards is highly vulnerable to a concerted attack.
It is. I totally agree with you. But then at least it's clear.
Okay, but that's a different point. You shouldn't be sacrificing your soldiers that
Well, you're
way.
not sacrificing them.
Okay.
You can keep them safe, no problem. But as soon as an attack starts, the next person is 2 meters away and the other one is 2 meters in the other direction. So you have at least 3 soldiers very fast at the desired location. And everyone else is within shooting range as well. And then you can bring reinforcement. It's really difficult to get past human eyes. Technology can easily be fooled. It's really different to get past human eyes. So, hey, listen, you want to build a particularly safe wall? That's how you do it. And it doesn't make it nice for the people standing there, I agree, but hey, it'll work. And considering America has a huge army anyway, getting them out of different countries means that all of a sudden you have a lot of soldiers in America, nothing to do. Guess what? You have surplus people, you have a job for surplus people. It's kind of fixing several problems at once. I seriously think that having a closed border, and it's not about stopping immigrants, because I don't know why people keep pushing that message, because it's never been about stopping immigrants. And one could say there's a good argument to be made for that. You know what? Fair enough. But it's about stopping contraband.
Well, they do. So I need to cover this because it involves Utah. So one thing people don't like to talk about, but now it's being exposed, is a lot of people go down to Mexico and steal children. And it's not just sex rings, okay, mind you. The one that just got busted in Utah had nothing to do with sex. It had to do with getting kids to be adopted into families, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, so that like it was a parent thing. Like, oh, we don't have enough kids, let's bring them up.
That's another stupidity thing of America. If only half of the children that got aborted were given up for adoption, a lot of people would be a lot happier.
Yeah, it's exactly. But so Utah, they got busted. They were smuggling in little kids to adopt them, even smuggling in pregnant women and paying the pregnant women for their babies. And that would be stopped by the wall. You know, it's not cost effective to fly that many people in. You know, so I don't know. I'm all for the wall.
Yeah, me too. I think
But
Europe should reinstate its border security as well, to be honest. It's kind of funny because if you look at Europe before 2000 and...
I'll be right back, guys. Sorry, Devin's... I think she's leaving for a flight, so I gotta talk to her for a minute.
Okay. But if we look at Europe before 2005, I think... I don't have the numbers ready, I'm sorry. But Europe was known as Fort Europa. It was nigh on impossible to get in if you're not a European. This was before the whole refugee crisis bullshit. Which is a manufactured crisis, let's be honest. But before that, Europe was very heavily defended. The outer borders were nigh on impossible to breach. we can still go back to that, but it takes manpower. And we have the manpower, but we don't have the political will. And this is what's happening in America now. They have the manpower, they don't have the political will. So yeah, I'm curious how the future will deal with that, to be honest. But there is a serious issue to be addressed. Then again, I agree though that I don't think it's a good thing that America would go in. As I said, Ron Paul said this a long time ago. American soldiers should be stationed in America and America only. It's difficult to fix the world's problems if the world doesn't want their problems to be fixed. They'll only complain and blame you in the end. Anything you want to say, John? Oh, okay. Hey there, Anxious. Oh, you missed a good part of the show, my dear. Oh well, there you have it. We were talking about whether America should go into Mexico to deal with their drug cartels. So I would advise you to watch the earlier bit. It was pretty good. But it's only been good for about 20 minutes. The period before that we were just talking random stuff. Well, so if America shouldn't go in to deal with the Mexican drug cartels, which in all fairness I really think they shouldn't. I really think America should deal with their border, but they can't because politicians are against it. Does it then in itself not give proof that their politicians are corrupt? It's difficult to say, I know, but at what point are we going to tell our politicians this is a border we're not willing to take? This is where we're going to protect our citizens. And I'm not even talking about the sanctuary city nonsense. Because a lot of people seem to misunderstand that closing the borders is to try and stop illegal migration. But I don't think closing the borders is about stopping any form of migration, even though that's a good side effect to stop illegal migration. But it's mostly to stop contraband. And with stopping contraband, you're going to stop a lot of crime. It's too weird for me to hear that gangs from Salvador are more active in America than they are in Salvador. San Salvador. Which is beyond stupidity. We've got people from San Salvador fleeing to America to get away from gang violence, only to be introduced to the very same gang violence once they get to California and Florida. I think MS-13 is a really big name in all that storyline. But stuff like that can be prevented. It's almost as if having borders is now considered a negative thing. I'm kind of done with this topic, it seems, because I'm the only one talking. So let's talk about something else. I don't know. Is there anything else to talk about today? I didn't have anything prepared, and I'll not lie. I had hoped St. Clair would come too, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to join us. So I think I'm just calling it quits then. I would like to thank everyone for coming. I'm still here, mods. Well, if you want to join in the stream, you're welcome, dude. But if I'm the only one talking, I didn't have a stream prepared for me to be the only one talking, let's be honest. So in that case, it's better to call it quits. But if you want to join in talking here, tell us how leprechauns are going to rule the world or anything like that, you're welcome. And the little one is waking up as well. For those of you who can hear it, you can hear the little one.
What is that?
That's my boy in his bed. He's rocking back and forth now, and that's the sound he makes. And after a while, he just goes back to sleep.
Aww. Aww.
Yeah, it's all right. See, now he's quiet again, so now he's going back to go to sleep. Go for it. Hi there, Sir Albert Holmes. Welcome to the stream. I was thinking about maybe calling it quits because I'm not quite sure what to be saying anymore. And both you and John were gone, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't prepare a stream where I could do all the talking. So I'm not sure. That's all right. I can do that too, but then I have to prepare that for myself a little bit better. No, but I think we've said most of it anyway. I mean, I'm just repeating myself now.
Yeah, I think there is a consensus that we. Yeah, I think all countries just need to like clean up their own backyard and then worry about everybody else later.
Yeah.
You know, because all of us have problems.
True that. And the thing
is, a lot of problems.
If you consider that most of the problems in America with the drug cartels are based on an open border, yeah, close that border, problems go away. Well, they won't because there's still a lot of corruption in California and Florida. Yeah, there is. But once you make it harder for the contraband to get in, those problems become easier to deal with. And at the same time, this is not about stopping people from migrating, but in the same time, and I said this when you were gone, we've got people from San Salvador fleeing to America only to be welcomed by MS-13 in America. MS-13 is more active in America than it is in San Salvador.
Yeah, there's I've watched town hall meetings at the base of California, and there's a lot of Mexicans they're pissed because they came here to escape that shit, and now they're bringing the shit they escaped from to their back door, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
We came here for a reason. Let's vet. They should vet. I mean, a lot of countries vet, like Korea, right? Korea, that's why they have to come to my house because Drusilla has to leave the country. Yeah. And she gets her visa. She'll get her visa because they're allowing her to get a student visa. But she still has to leave, and then the visas start all over again. So other countries do it. Why can't we?
But this is something.
Why can't?
This is something that's going on in the Western world at large.
Yeah.
Everyone else's problems are terrible, but you're not allowed to look at your own problems.
Yeah, it's really weird. So, I think it's sad, but I do hope we stay out of it because, the Mormons know what they're doing down in Mexico. They know they know the risk. They're there for a very specific reason, so they can practice polygamy. They know the risk. I think it's just hard because the fact that they were burnt, right?
Oh yeah, no.
And one of them escaped.
Babies got victims and all that, which is terrible. Don't get me wrong.
It is awful. It's awful.
But at the same time, this is how not just America, the Western world, constantly gets pulled into wars where they can't do anything because of political corruption.
Yeah.
Let's look at Iraq. Let's look at Syria. We've been manhandled into those wars, but the people there aren't happy with us being there. Afghanistan, the people there aren't happy with us there.
Yeah, we don't
What's the
belong
name
there.
of that? What's the name of that American? He was hired to work as a contractor, a
Oh,
safety
Prince.
contractor sorry, what?
It was Prince. It was Blackwater.
No.
Prince.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't remember. No, there was one soldier, and he made a video on how he agreed with America not letting in people from those countries. And basically, he said, "Okay, what would happen to me if I would go out into the in the lands? If I would leave
Oh,
the
yeah,
safe
yeah,
zones?
yeah. I've seen that.
Oh, you'd be captured and killed. By
Yeah,
whom?
he was talking
By
about that.
people.
Yeah,
Not even by
yeah.
not even ISIS or Al Qaeda. No, by random people. So why the hell
Mhm.
should we let you into our country? And why the
It's
hell should
true.
I be here to begin with?
It's true. Well, and if I see what'll happen, right? So if you have the civil war erupt in Mexico, you have all the Catholics come up, and then you're going to have a problem for the Muslims because the Catholics and the Muslims don't get along in America. Well, in the Americas. When I say that,
They
I'm
don't get
talking
along
about.
anywhere. So why not? Why can't we recognize they won't get along there? They don't get along anywhere. Hell, Muslims don't even
Yeah,
get along
yeah.
with Muslims.
Yeah, but the thing is that people forget. I think people have forgotten that the most devout Catholics, they're devout Catholics, are in Central and South Americas. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
devout Catholics. They love their faith,
Yeah.
and they don't like the Muslims. Like, I don't know what's going on with that, but I've seen it firsthand.
Oh,
And so then you're
I
going to
know where
have
it
even
comes from.
more of a civil type situation, a bad situation in America. It's like, what are you guys doing?
It's kind of funny, but there are countries, and some Latin countries are really good at that. Some Eastern European countries are really good with that as well. They remember history. And people
Yeah, they
seem to
do.
think, well,
They do.
history is something that happened in the last few hundred years. Yeah, no, go back further.
Well, it's like an example of, love to use as an example. So we have this small place called Wendover, right? So it's just across the border into Nevada, where mostly the people that work there are mostly from the lower half Americas. You know, you get your uh, Central America, Mexico, and that, and it's fine. They're great. But it's funny because so when the Muslims come into the gambling areas, they're doing everything, they are literally ignored by those people.
Yeah.
Like they're like it's so interesting because you don't I don't get to see a lot of racism, and it's not even racism, but just, I don't know what you call it, religiousism. What
Well,
would you
it's
call that?
bigotry.
What would you call that? Okay,
Bigotry.
bigotry. I mean, you hear about it, but you don't really actually ever see it. You know, it's like so rare, so that when you actually see it, you're like, wow, shit,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. It was interesting. It was interesting, you know, because they were literally just ignored. Like, not even, like, they act as if they don't exist. And I'm like, wow. And I was thinking, but to be fair, should the Muslims be gambling and drinking? What are they doing there? I thought, can Muslims gamble?
Officially,
I
they're
know
not allowed to.
they're not
But,
allowed to.
no, they're not. But, and here comes the kicker, when they are in non Muslim lands, they kind of have to behave as the locals do to blend in. This is allowed. And this is the one thing Christians don't understand about Islam. In
Yeah.
most Western societies, lying is a terrible thing. It is not something to be proud of, and it's something to be always berated. In
Yeah,
Islam,
there's
it's completely acceptable to do so against non-Muslims. And non-Muslims is a very large term because most of the Muslims aren't Muslims according to the Quran.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and this line of thinking is something that we in the West can hardly put our finger on because it's so antithetical to the way of our world.
Yeah.
And
It really is. It really is.
It is. It is very much so, and it's
So
scary. Don't
we
get me
have this
wrong.
weird haze over the top of us. Like, I don't know if it's indoctrination or what it is. Maybe
It
it's just
is.
human nature where we we think that other people are like us,
Well,
or they're completely opposite.
it's no. I think it's a Western disease, and I'll call it
It is.
disease. I'll not lie. It's a Western disease to think that the world is nice. It's very much postmodernism. All cultures are equal. No one is dead set against you. Every person is good inherently. This is why we have girls going into places that adult men don't want to go alone because it's not safe. But girls go there alone and then they get murdered, and everyone is amazed that this happened. Well, usually they get sexually assaulted as well and then murdered. And everyone is like, yeah, how could you not have known that this would happen? But at the same time, we're advocating for it to happen even more. Look at Germany. Some of the European politicians that advocated for open borders actually lost family members to rape and murder, and
Ugh.
still they advocate for open borders. I'm
That's
sorry, but
so messed up.
you have to be a
That
special kind of deranged, in my humble opinion.
it is derangement. It's like I taught my daughters, and I go, I know everybody's gonna say I'm being sexist or whatever. I say there are boys out there that want to rape you. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it's a fact of fucking life. So when you go to a party,
be
you
careful.
drink water. You drink water. You don't drink alcohol. You don't get drunk out in public. You don't do that,
Nope.
or you're gonna get raped.
Yeah. Well,
And they
the chance
listen
of
to
you
me.
getting
Well, I
raped.
mean, it's not it. Well, like it's not a guarantee, but I think you should err on the side of caution,
No, I agree. I
right?
totally agree.
And what's worse than being raped is hooking up with some gross dude and getting pregnant. You know what I mean? That shit can happen. You get those beer goggles on,
Yep.
man. Next thing you know, you wake up next to some fucking loser from like MGTOW that that's advocating for sex robots because they're better than real women, and you're like, shit, I'm pregnant. God damn it, what do I do? Dumbasses.
No, it's true,
Dumbasses.
and it's scary. But at the same time, you have to pretend that this isn't happening.
Yeah, the Mormons. I love the Mormons. I should not call them that. They don't want to be called the Mormons. So the Latter Day Saints people. At first, they were kind of, so they opened their arms to all these cultures, right? And it's good. It's good. We have a huge Samoan population here because they're Mormons. They like the Mormon living. It's good. It's a good fit. It's a good fit, right? And they've got also they've got more Chinese people coming in and Korean people, and it's a good fit. Like it fits, right? So then they start doing that with how do I say this without sounding bad? This is the new PC culture. So they start doing it with a particular group of people from a particular place.
Yeah.
But they learned quickly. I will give the LDS Church this. They learned quickly. They learned quickly that it's not the same, and they were like, "Nope, we're gonna not do that anymore." So I
Well,
was very proud of them.
I hope, but there are too many people who still believe the postmodernistic lie that, oh no, all cultures are equal, all humans are good. Yada yada
Yeah,
yada.
I find myself doing that sometimes. Like to be honest, like so I truly believe I was naive yesterday. I was very naive, and I really thought, okay, I'm going to have a fair debate. This is going to be fine. We can talk, we can chat like two normal human beings, right? So I'm thinking this in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, they're people too. Not going to dehumanize anyone. They're just misunderstood. And if I come to the table, but right off, just before we go on air, the turd starts saying things to me that he knows is going to trigger any female, right? You're going to get triggered certain, like if I sit here and I'm like saying all men are rapists and they're all fucking pedophiles and men just want to have sex with little boys. Yeah, you're gonna feel a little bit like off, you know. And but then he said, "Don't worry about it," and he was dismissive as if I wasn't a human being. And I don't know why that. And then I realized all at once, I was like, he actually thinks I'm not a human being. There are people, there actually are genuine, like I knew there were women that genuinely like thought that way about men. I did. I've seen that. I've witnessed that. So I knew that. But for some reason, I don't know why, I gave men a pass, thinking that there was absolutely no way that there's real men that genuinely think that way, unless like they're a serial killer, right? And so I do it too. I do it. We all do it.
Yeah.
But why do we do it?
Well, it's easy to generalize, even if we don't mean to generalize.
Yeah.
It's basically when we say something, hashtag not all should always be implied. But I don't know why. I mean, it's easier to talk in black and white terms, I guess. Even though any one of us realize there are nuances to every issue. But we assume that the person listening also assumes that there are nuances.
Yeah.
On average,
but some people don't.
Well,
some people genuinely don't. Like, they genuinely think that life is really simple, there's no nuance, and that there's one solution, and that's the only solution. Everything else is bullshit. You know? It was like, I hate to say it, you know, but it's how I imagine that those the Nazis were as they're, you know, cramming people into concentration camps. This blind type of, I don't know, like thought. Mm-hmm. This blind, like as if there is no thought, or like how. Like, if anyone caught my last video, that boy, the Maoist boy, right? The darker skinned boy. He really, like, when I watched the whole video, and I was almost in shock watching him, because he was so angry. He was so angry, and he actually was saying, he was saying stuff like that reactionaries, he dehumanized the Russian. He called him a reactionary, and reactionaries die. Well, and he thinks that's okay.
I mean, we can call him Vladimir Jaffa, because, let's be honest, that's the name he goes by. I appreciate Vladimir as well. He actually is the one that made me realize that a lot of people make the same mistake. They consider social to be the same as socialist. He was actually the first one to make me think about that one. So for that, I thank Vladimir Jaffa. And it shows how much of an influence he can have on people who actually think. But the Maoistic boy that you refer to, that you also use in your video, I'm sorry, but he's a Red Guarder. There's nothing we can do for Red Guarders. They are the first to die when their perceived perfect world starts happening. And they will get killed by the people who make the perfect world happen. And this is true for every socialistic, communistic country out there. The first ones to die are the army of the revolution.
Yeah. Well, Vladimir liked the video.
Yeah, I know. I saw, and justly so.
I was like so fangirling, because I've followed him for years.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I just really respect him, and it just, I am to a point where I love talking to you men in this group, because then I remember the humanity, I remember the sanity of men, and I just have this hope that more men would be like you guys and come to your side and say, hey, let's fix this. Let's get back. And also at the same time, I'm starting to open women's eyes. I am. I've actually got some women now coming over and talking to me and going, well, I wasn't aware of this. So I think we might, I need to be hopeful, I think, you know.
Well, yeah, I can understand that, and I can only say thank you. Listen, there's not much we can do to change the world, but to try and make the people think. But people don't want to think. Hell, I had a long discussion about. Um, I made a tweet about how the whole climate hoax is a real thing, and then I had a discussion for the longest time because there were people who actually believed that. Yeah, but 92%. Oh no, sorry, 97% of the scientists, the climate scientists, I wanted to say, but there are no climate scientists because there is no professor in climatology. But yeah, the scientists agree with global warming, and I'm like, okay, even if that were true, which it really isn't, but this beside the point. Even if that were true, science is not based on consensus. But then we had a whole discussion on how science was based on consensus, and I'm stupid and I don't know anything, which is okay.
Oh my God.
I try to have a normal talk, which is okay.
Yeah.
And then it fails because these red guarders are so intoxicated by their own ideological stance that there is no way for them to get away from it.
Well, it's almost like they get off on hate too. Have you noticed that? Like the true ideologues, like the ones that are like gung ho crazy, they seem to enjoy hate. Like they're feeding off of hate.
Yeah.
Like that weird kind of power. Like they enjoy the pain they're causing.
Well, it's
Crazy.
almost as if it doesn't matter what they think or what they say, as long as they think or say the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they virtue signal a lot. It's kind of weird, you know. And so I don't know. I think we can change the world. I'm sorry, I went off topic, but
No, but the funny thing is that everything is the same topic. Am I a nationalist? Another dirty word. Am I a nationalist? Yes, I am. I have no problem saying that. I used to consider myself left-wing. My viewpoints haven't really changed, but I still consider myself left-wing. I still consider myself a nationalist. Does that then mean that other nationalities aren't welcome in my country? Does that then mean other ethnicities aren't welcome in my country? No, that's not what nationalism says. What you're talking about is ethno-nationalism. But you're not to point that out, because once you say you're a nationalist, you're already an ethno-nationalist. Because the narrative...
yeah, which...
Yeah, go on.
Sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say it literally doesn't make sense in America because, like, and this is because, again, you always tell me a lot of their shit doesn't make sense. But, like, so my family is so cool. We're the poster child for globalism, right? Poster child. Okay. I'm going to have to take a picture. I have to take a picture of my family because we have brown, dark, we have Korean. It was so funny because my nephew,
I'm going to stop you really for a second right there. And I believe you when you say your family has a lot of ethnicities. Because basically that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but what I was going to say is that none of us, we all consider ourselves Americans.
Yeah,
like we're Americans and we want to protect America.
Fair enough, which makes you a nationalist.
Yeah, I am a nationalist, so is everybody else. That's what I loved about it.
Your daughter is getting married. No, she already married him, didn't she? The Korean one?
Yeah. I think I can legally say that. Yeah, we had the wedding. Yeah, there was a leaked photo. So yeah, I can say that. Yeah.
Well, you're not allowed to say that they got married. Wow, that show is really fucking up your life.
Dude, no, like everybody, like so think about how hard it was for us. So we had a contract, right?
Yeah.
For the birth of Taeyang, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't even post a picture of Taeyang till it premiered on TV. So we had 3 fucking months of this beautiful little baby. And what do people do? They share pictures. We couldn't share a picture. Not one picture.
Wow. Fucked up.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Well, no, it's
I
okay.
wouldn't
It
have
makes
gone.
for good TV. You gotta have some
Yeah, but
surprises.
I wouldn't have gone for that. But that's me. Never mind that. But anyway, so she married a guy from North. No, not North. South
South,
Korea.
South,
South Korea. Sorry,
South, South.
I made the mistake. I corrected myself
No,
fast
you're
enough.
fine.
I'll try to do my best. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that whether they're going to live in Korea or they're going to live in America isn't really the main issue. I don't know which they're going to choose, but whichever country they choose to live in, they will recognize that that's the country they have to live in. Which makes them, funny enough, nationalists.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When I go over to Korea, I have to follow their rules, and I do. I have to take off my goddamn shoes everywhere I go. It's ridiculous. It's so annoying.
Now you know why so many of them wear flip-flops.
Yeah, that's actually, it is true. I always wondered that. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh shit, this is why.
Uh-huh.
This is why. Because it is irritating. But what was funny is, so we were in Korea, and a new camera guy was sent from the big corporation, and the fucker had the fucking nerve not to take off his shoes. And it was like, I was about to say something to him, but Drusilla did. She's like, you have to take your shoes off. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You don't get special privileges. Follow the fucking rules. You take off the damn shoes.
But this is the point I was trying to make when you said we have a very globalist family. I'm going to say no. You have a very global family,
Well, yeah, that's
but
what
not
I'm
a
saying.
globalist.
Exactly.
Just to refer to the difference between social and socialist. So
Yeah,
globalism has
right.
a very strong ideology behind it. Being global
true.
is not the same as being globalist. Hell, my wife is from Poland and my father is Italian. I'm still Dutch. And I believe that whatever the Dutch do, the Dutch government does, whether I agree with it or not, I will fight it if I disagree with it in the country, but I'll defend my country to the outside world.
See, you don't even look like you have like an ounce of Italian in you.
I
The
know.
thing.
I know, and I'm 50% Italian. It's the bottom half, obviously. No, you should see my brother. He's like, damn. My brother and me, we look worlds apart.
That's
We have the
funny.
same nose, though. We do have the same nose. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. No, this has been great. I needed this stream. Yesterday was a shit day, so I got to put the past behind me. Just move on. My sister's gone. There's no justice. Fine, it's fine. Let's move forward.
Yeah, but that's another mistake a lot of people make, and this is the problem with the left indoctrination of our society. There is no such thing as justice. We try to make justice. There is no such thing as justice. If anything, justice is a social construct.
I agree. I was telling, because Raven happened to be there, right? And my younger sister, she fell apart. Like, she was shaking and crying and
I can understand
everything. And the kid comes walking out, and so I go, congratulations, you fucking cunt, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't do that. I'm going to get arrested.
Yeah.
But I explained to Raven that there is no such thing as justice. The only justice you can have in life, really, the only justice is, let's say, you're raped as a child. Your only justice really is going to be to get over it, to have a good life, to enjoy life, and not let it kill you every day.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to move on.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I needed this stream. It was a
It's
good
easier
stream. You're always
It's easier said than done, but yeah, you have to move on. Well, you're
Yeah,
more
I
than
already-
welcome on this stream any day of the week, as long as it's Wednesday.
No, I have to say though, I don't know where John is, but So John had watched the stream last night, and both him and so he texts me and he's like, "Do you need to vent?" And my husband comes up right at the same time. He's like, "Are you okay, honey?" And I'm like, "It's fine. It's fine. Everybody, it's fine." I knew what I was getting into. I just didn't believe it. I knew it, but I didn't believe it. But John talked to me. He talked to me for quite a while because my husband had to go to bed. He'd got to get up and go to work. He talked to me for quite a while. It made me feel good. He made me feel good. It was like...
Yeah, but you did a good job. You really did. I mean, it might not feel nice, but hey, you know what? Cleaning up shit never is.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Like, everything's fine. I just like, oh, okay, that's all right. I learned a valuable lesson. And then my husband, he did sit me down for a minute. He goes, "This is where you went wrong. You were being too intellectual. You should have gotten right to the point. You were losing your audience. I understood what you were trying to do with the Kinsey thing and then throwing it back to the Greeks and how you can't rely on one source, but you took too long."
As soon as you started with Kinsey, you've already lost Third Flinging Monkey. He had absolutely no idea what you were on about.
Well, yeah, that's what was weird is because, but he's like, what I was trying to demonstrate was that if you form your opinion based off of one thing, you can be lied to because you don't know the motives behind that one person.
Yeah, but he is, in all fairness, and you've recognized this yourself, he is ideological identical to these people. He's just at it from a different angle.
Well, it was weird because he wouldn't... This is what I didn't understand about him because, I mean, at least people, I assume, I guess I assume wrong, he wouldn't give his own opinion. Like, he literally, it was as if he didn't have his own opinion outside of other things that I've watched of his. And his own opinion is everything's women's fault. You need to rape them and beat them. And I'm like, what? Where do you get that? Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? But well, he, like, you have your opinion. John has his opinion. Everybody on the stream that's been on your stream has their opinion, like their own thoughts. Mm-hmm. But he wouldn't give me his own thoughts on what love was. It was as if it didn't matter to him. No, this is what they say it is, so this is what it is. Wait, what?
It's basically the same ideological doctrine, but only from a different side.
Yeah, it's like
that feminists will say all marital sex is rape because women can't consent. Okay, so are you now saying that women can't be responsible?
Yeah, you can't. How do you argue against that? Like it's like my great aunt, right? She's from second wave feminism, right? Mm-hmm. She can't get over that I'm not a feminist. Like, she sends me stuff and like she's ashamed of me because I'm not a feminist, and I'm like, I don't understand. Why is it so important to you that I'm a feminist? As if I'm not, I'm doing something wrong.
Because it's almost a religious test, and I mean this is something that I'm trying to get to understand. This is something someone pointed out several times. Different people have pointed this out to me. Fair is fair. A lot of people who are not religious are filling that gap with a new religion. Be that feminism, be this science, be this government, but they are filling the non-religious part with something else. And they do so religiously. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that you can't disagree. Everything is becoming... Well, John, I understand what you say. You're conflating religion with ideology, but religion is an ideology. I don't think it's conflating that at all. But the difference is, how do you go on with an ideology? If you
No. That's my point. That is precisely my point. I've been making this point on these streams for a year. It's not that ideology is religious, it's that religion is ideological.
The ideology. Listen, this goes two ways.
No.
You may not agree with me. That's perfectly
No.
fine. But to me,
No.
this goes both
Religion
ways.
is ideological.
Yes.
And it is the ideology that manifests in the same behavior. It's not that they're finding something that's like a religion, they're finding an ideology, and that is like religion. That's all I'm saying. And I've been saying this for a long time. It's calling it a religion that is the mistake.
So they're filling one religion with the other, and
an ideology with another.
Fair enough. It becomes a religion by the way you practice it.
No.
Yeah, it does.
Right. We have a mental concept of religion because it's been around for a long time. We're all familiar with it. But what is actually operating is an ideology.
Yes. What's the difference between an ideology and a religion?
Ask Alicia. No, because you argued with me, didn't you, Alicia? You said don't.
I did. I argued with you because I'm a very religious person.
No.
So
and the point was you were correct. And this is why
there is a difference, because religion has a supernatural leader, and ideology can't do that. So therefore, it actually amplifies ideologies because they don't have that supreme being that they can't understand. Therefore, they can assume that they have understood and they can figure it out, so it makes it more destructive. That's why you see societies with religion, they're brutal, but they're not as brutal as the secular ideologues, like, say, what Mao did and what Pol Pot did. And both of them, they banned religion. So you're replacing something that's at least a slight mystery with something that's not a mystery at all. Therefore, This is conforming, so then it leads to more bloodshed.
Yes, and I'm going to disagree with you on that, even though you are correct in the fact that these guys use their secularism as a tool to destroy lives. But I can point at certain religions that do the same. The difference between an ideology and a religion is that in an ideology, if you are merely thinking an ideology as a guide to something, you should be able to discuss it. When does
but religions don't kill in mass. Like, even the Spanish Inquisition, they didn't they don't kill in mass.
That's not true, though. Have you forgotten about the Armenian genocide?
Was that a religious
forget
thing?
That. What about all the
wait,
Cathars? The Cathars?
Wait, I didn't know that.
Kills?
Okay, I don't know shit. I don't know shit about I did not know shit about the Armenian genocide, which I really should look at it. I don't know anything about it.
Not all religions end up in mass murder, but there are plenty of religions that ended up in mass murder as well.
But it was the ideological element that led to the killing.
Fair enough.
Well,
but it's the religious part. Listen, on an ideology, you should be able to talk.
Yeah, but in ideologies, you can't.
On an ideology, you should be able to talk. Once it becomes a religion, talking is no longer allowed, because talking is dissent, and dissent in religion isn't allowed. Now, can you have dissent within an ideology? Yes. But certain ideologies don't allow dissent either, just like religion don't allow dissent. This is when it becomes a problem. This is when an ideology, we call this authoritarian. But religions are inherently authoritarian. This is not automatically true for an ideology. An ideology doesn't have to be authoritarian. But as soon as the authoritarian concept of the ideology takes hold, then discussion isn't allowed anymore.
I think I'm going to have to go with John on this one, because it does seem to be a difference between an ideology and a religion. Like, so if you take the Buddhists, for example.
Which is a religion,
right?
yes.
It is a religion, but they don't have authoritarianism in it.
No.
There's no authority.
Yes. Well, there are plenty of ideologies that don't have that either.
Like, what ideology doesn't have authoritarianism?
Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult because it's hard to show bigger numbers, but a lot of ideologies, for example, the idea that people should be free. Within anarchism, there is this not what we today call anarchism, but because within the original idea of anarchism, there is this idea of the non-aggression principle.
But that comes from religion.
No. That comes.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It comes from a very specific religion. I made a video on it. The non-aggression principle is actually from, God, I can't remember which religion it is right off the top of my head, but it comes from a religion.
Jainism.
No. Actually, no. I use Jainism as an example that it's not the non-aggression principle. Jainism is a step further. They're actual true pacifists.
Yeah,
and what they believe, they won't even, you can't even protect yourself. So no, it's not Jainism. God damn it. I don't know, but it does, the non-aggression principle does come from religion.
But in all fairness, every idea we have doesn't come from religion. But
no, that's true.
But religion became the carrier of these ideas. The difference between an ideology and a religion is how strong the idea has become. Socialism as an ideology is not that big a deal. Socialism as a religion is. Because socialism as an ideology allows dissent. Socialism as a religion doesn't.
Are you an atheist?
I am, yes.
Okay, I was just curious. I was curious from the standpoint that you were coming from.
In all fairness,
because so what I've noticed in all of these discussions that everybody has, that the atheists tend to push that it's religion that's bad and ideologies just following religion, but then the religious people do the exact opposite.
That's also not what I want to say, though. But that's also not what I mean. Don't get me wrong. There has been a time that I actually did believe that, but that's not true either. Religion in itself isn't a problem either, depending on how you live your religion. For example, I used to have a colleague, and unfortunately she stopped working at the place where I worked, but she's a brilliant woman. And she's very Christian. I really mean very Christian. And I'm an outspoken atheist, more so then than now, to be honest. But we had a really good talk. We had several good talks. Her religion wasn't above criticism, but she did not discuss her belief as if it's something that she could change. So she had strong ideological views about her religion, but she was willing to talk about it. Her main thing, and to me, this is the difference between religion and religion, so to speak, it's her religion. It's her way of life. It's what she demands of herself. It's not what she demands of other people. So,
well, it's almost like what you're describing to me, right? What you're describing to me is not, it's not ideology, it's not religion, it's the cult. Mm-hmm. The cult, right? Yeah. So like the cult of personality. Because it's not really, like religion, it goes only so far, but cults, they demand the full. And you have to give your full. And they do give their full. So it's more like, if we're talking about negative ideologies, it's more of the cult and not a religion. Because
maybe that's a good analogy. Maybe I haven't thought about that one. So maybe that's something to think about. Maybe that's a good analogy.
Well, because cults are very powerful. You have to if you talk to people that are in a cult or have been part of a cult or survived a cult, and when you look at what happened with the Kool-Aid King. or many cults, like sex cults, like that have infiltrated Hollywood. Cults demand a different kind of. They're more demanding than, say, like even Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
They're way demanding, and you have to be completely in, or they kick you the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
Excommunicate.
that could be true. Maybe that's a better analogy than the one that I am using. That's something for me to think about. Thank you.
Well, and I think it actually works out better for us, right, in the long run, okay? Because we have a converging of people right now. We all want freedom. A lot of Christians believe that God gave them free will, therefore they have to promote free will. That, da 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 da. So if we use the term cult,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is the one thing that, because I used to have a very negative view of Christianity. I'll not lie. My overall view of Christianity still isn't positive, but I recognize now it's an individual thing, it's not a religious thing. Because there are Christians, and I've met a few, that I have the utmost respect for. And I still don't care about Christianity. But I care about these people, and I respect the way they carry their Christianity. Because it says something about them. And to me, that's very empowering. And this is the problem I have with a lot of people who say a society can't do something because my religion says this or my religion says that. And to me, that's the problem. But that's the same problem once an ideology goes on and say, well, my ideology wants you to do this, therefore you must do this.
Yeah. Exactly. We're back in the same square. Exactly.
So to
there
me,
you go.
And maybe you're correct in saying, well, maybe it's not religion, maybe it's more like cult.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something for me to think about, because then you say, okay, there is religion, but there's a deeper layer within religion, which in my humble opinion also means that it brings religion closer to an ideology and the excesses closer to the cult, which in all fairness makes sense, because the worst part is I'm an atheist, and I've been an atheist for as long as I can remember, but I've always defended the concept of religion, because I recognize the good religions can bring. And it doesn't matter in what you believe, because every religion brings the same things. It brings the value of family. It brings the value of Western ideologies that we have. Within Christianity, we see certain things that we saw before Christian religion in Europe. We saw in the Germanic, the Celtic religions. These things have gone from religion to religion to religion. Funny enough, we don't see the same things within the Islamic world, which is also an Abrahamic religion. So it has to do more with culture than the whole concept of God. But the whole concept of God it's a way to make people behave in a certain way. It's the apple and the stick, basically. But there isn't an ideology out there that isn't the apple and the stick.
Yeah.
And that in itself isn't bad. It becomes a problem when it becomes authoritarian. And when people think about a cult, this is probably why I never thought of it as a cult. So I really appreciate you bringing this up. But cults usually are considered to be small and closed.
Yes, they are very small and they're very close.
Yeah,
they are very close.
We don't like to think of a society as a cult. But maybe the certain behavioral patterns within society are indeed cult-like. I really need to think about this a little bit more, because I have to admit that that's really a good point. And it's double, because yes, I'm an atheist, but I have a problem with people who believe in socialism or science or whatever is out there. Things aren't inherently good because of this ideology or that ideology, whether it's religion or something else.
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't inherently bad because of these things either. There is more to it.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've met Christians. For example, there's an old. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He died. But he was old and he had health problems. I mean, I have health problems. What he had is way worse. I'll not even joke about that. He really had health problems, and yet still, most of his days was filled with collecting goods to bring to Romania from the Netherlands, because we have a lot of stuff we throw away, we don't use, which is still doable and usable, and they need it in Romania. So he went to Romania at least twice a year with a big truck and all that to give people stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I always think of Pastor Lee. Pastor Lee in Korea, he does the baby box, right? He's saved so many children.
Stuff like that.
So,
yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
And the whole idea, he did this, and he never judged.
Yeah.
He is a Christian. He never judged. I do what I feel my God demands of me. And my God demands of me not to judge. And to me, when you are religious like that, I have the utmost respect for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how many Christians do you know that are like that?
Oh, very many.
Well, I don't. I won't lie. I don't know a lot of religious people
that's the thing. That's the old joke is like, so Mormons are more Mormons outside of Utah than they are inside of Utah. It's everybody jokes about it because there's too many there's too many fake people in ideological groups, right? We know that. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why we have this false sense of security that, oh, they really like us because there's so many phonies.
Yeah.
But and maybe that's what started it, because we're like, they don't really believe that, like you get certain Mormons alone, they'll drink alcohol. They're not supposed to. But they will. So they go against their religious beliefs, and you see that with a lot of religions. Like it's hypocrisy is gross.
Well, it's kind of funny because if you look at Christianity, you weren't supposed to drink alcohol. Yeah, okay, but drinking water in Europe was deadly in the Middle Ages. So you drank alcohol because that's the only thing that keeps you safe. Yeah,
but I don't think so. I think you can drink alcohol as a Christian. You can't drink alcohol. Yeah, you can. There's not a rule against it.
Yeah, it is.
What Bible verse says that?
Oh, no, I have to look it up again. I think it's
you would have to, because so with the Mormons, they can't drink hot drinks, right? So that's where everybody thinks that means they can't drink caffeine. But really what it was is in the context of don't drink peyote. So it's these interpretation errors too. We always have interpretation errors. So, because I don't know any Christian group that can't drink, besides Mormons. But I don't.
It's the same.
I'm sorry, my fellow LDS people out there. I really don't consider LDS Christians. I'm sorry. I know you believe in Christ, but I don't.
It's the same. You shouldn't, as a Christian, you shouldn't eat pork. You shouldn't eat. Shellfish.
No. That's the Old Testament, though.
It is.
Christians. That's the Old Testament, but they don't have to follow the Old Testament because
that's not true,
Jesus Christ. They're not.
Christ did say that the Old Testament still stands.
Where did Jesus say that?
Oh, no, I have to.
Oh shit! Sorry. We've gone off. Back
in the day when I was really.
No, I'm sorry, Modway. This is where the whole argument in the early church was between the Pauline tradition of St. Paul, who said, we can abandon the Old Testament covenant, which means we don't have to circumcise. It means we don't have to follow the dietary laws. That is the strain of Western Christianity.
Oh, okay. So it's a fight.
Yes.
That's where you get the fight.
Yeah, because the original Christians in Jerusalem wanted to remain Jewish, and Paul said, no, we're going to take Christianity to the Gentiles, and to do that, we ditch all the Jewish stuff.
Okay.
And
that
Jesus,
makes sense.
one of his miracles was to turn water into wine. Now, that is a religion that doesn't want you to drink. It has a funny way of saying it.
That is true.
Plus, the Eucharist is you drink wine as the body of Christ. Again, funny way to show you can't drink.
I know. I've never said there wasn't any discrepancies within Christianity.
There's massive discrepancies.
Yeah.
We all know that. That's and maybe that's why religion isn't as bad as some of these ideologies, because there is discrepancy, so it gives you at least leverage to argue.
Oh, the ideologies have the discrepancies. They just aren't as mature in terms of long-lived, and therefore they haven't fully developed
yet. Rise up now. It's starting to rise up now. The problem they're having now between the transgender and the feminist.
The religion has forked. The religion has forked, and we're getting the sectarian shit.
I'm trying to figure. I used to have a list with all these things within the Bible that I could use as arguments and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I know. I know the feeling. It's like you know what you know it, but you're like, shit, where is it?
Yeah,
we can't remember every little thing of every little thing, but I'm sure the only Christian religion that I know of that you're not allowed to drink is the Mormons. I don't know of any other.
The other Christian religions, but indeed, at a later time, especially in Western culture, they basically abandoned that rule. Because God was quite clear. Jesus was quite clear that the Old Testament is still part of Christianity.
Yeah, are you saying that the Jews don't drink?
Of course. Listen, I'm not
Are
saying
Jews allowed to drink, or are they not allowed to drink?
Okay, there wouldn't be a miracle of turning water into wine because the wine ran out at a wedding if there was a no drinking culture.
Oh, so is it maybe you're only supposed to drink at certain events?
Well, no, Ludicrous said it's about moderation.
Oh, okay. I'm not a Christian, so it's
everything is about moderation. But if we look at the Jewish and the Muslim faith, they still hold true to certain things of the Old Testament.
Yeah. But not all the dietary laws are the same between the two.
Alcohol never was a good example, but, for example, eating pork is still a good example. Muslims aren't allowed to eat pork. Jews aren't allowed to eat pork. Why are Christians allowed to eat pork? Well,
St. Paul. No, seriously, it's literally St. Paul. He changed the rules on that.
Okay, let me then try to explain why. If we look at Europe, eating pork was quite common. But in the Western world, it was easier to keep pork well for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Middle East, pork meat rots really fast, so you'd get sick. And most of the food laws in, both Christianity, Judaism, and Islam came from preventing people to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
So why aren't Muslims and Jews allowed to eat pork? Because back in the day, they couldn't keep pork safe.
Mm-hmm.
But in Europe, we could. And in Europe, a lot of people ate pork anyway. And no one got really sick. So why go against that?
Sorry, I'm trying to understand who you're talking to and why you're saying things that we all know.
Because this is what we were talking about. Why did certain rules change?
No. It was specifically mentioned about alcohol.
Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine. I think this has been a very positive thing, and it let's end it on a positive note.
Fair enough. But no, the thing is, and there are plenty of things within scripture, and this goes for every religion, that most people don't really care about. These are behavioral rules that may have served a purpose back then, but don't serve a purpose now. And most religions understand that people may slide away from it. I'm not quite sure how to say this, but don't adhere to it as strongly. But there are
they'll lose their flock if they don't change, basically.
Yes. But there are also a few religions that absolutely crack down on people moving away from these rules within their religion. There are very few, but still, there are a few religions out there that will absolutely disallow any dissenting thought or behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Just as there are some ideologies that are like that, and others which are less like that.
Well, but as we may,
it's a degree of authoritarianism. Yeah. Some things are more authoritarian than other things.
So, and this is what Toxic said a moment ago. Alicia said a moment ago. So we're talking about more cult-like behavior.
Well, okay. So this is where I was thinking. Where's listening to you say that? It's just about semantics. If I say religion and you say no, it's cult, that's just semantics. I mean the same thing.
Yeah,
Sorry for using the wrong word.
No. This is actually, it's smart though, because certain words can turn people off that you would otherwise be able to bring in.
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand, but all I'm saying is a disagreement amongst ourselves when it's just a semantic misunderstanding.
If it's just semantic, then my previous analogy between religion and ideology still stands as well, because it's just semantic. Words could mean what we want them to mean then.
No, I was I was the point I'm making about that is the concept and understanding of this thing we call religion is very old. Our relative understanding of ideology is much more modern.
That's not true though, because ideologies have been very old as well. Hell, there are some ideologies out there that are older than religions, but we call them religions now.
Like
Buddhism, Taoism,
Confucianism.
Thank you.
Okay. But they've always been called religion because
they haven't always been called religion. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
What makes a religion a religion? God. Okay, who's the God in Tao? Who's the God in Confucian?
They're not. That's just a collection of ideas and ways to live.
Philosophy in itself can bring ideologies. Ideologies can become religious, if you want to call it that. But what makes a religion a religion? Most people agree that a religion becomes a religion because of gods or a god. But then again, some religions we don't call religion, we call them mythology. Okay, where does the boundary between religion and mythology then lie? It's all semantic. But we try to have meaning with the words. So when I say religion and ideology overlap, I still think I'm correct in that one. But when Alicia says to me, well, I understand what you're saying, but the problem doesn't lie within religion and ideology. It lies between cult-like behavior, religion, and ideology. She puts a new depth in the perspective that I absolutely appreciate, which makes sense. But if we look at cult in a limited view, well, all cults are religious. Yeah, most cults are. The idea is to not get bogged down in semantics, as you say. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, but you made a specific point that ideologies are like religion. And I was merely making the point that there's this common substrate to ideology and religion, and therefore you could better argue that religions are ideological. That's all I was saying.
But it doesn't matter. Whether it's got
But you made the point in the first place, as if it mattered.
And you argued the point as if it mattered.
Seriously.
But the idea of looking at it, the authoritarian behavior more like cult than either religion or ideology, that absolutely makes sense. So that at a first glance, it absolutely makes sense. I shouldn't jump the gun, obviously, but it does.
Yeah. Wait, study cults.
Yeah.
There's some positive cults out there. Don't get bogged down by the positive ones.
No. I think. Well, I think it boils down to how authoritarian it becomes, yes or no. And do all cults become authoritarian? I don't know. I think they do. I don't know an example of not.
Well, we have 3,000 cults operating in America right now. And not all of them are authoritarian.
Yeah,
like
thank you
Rosicrucians
by the way,
aren't.
Chris.
But yeah, give it a thought. Give it a thought. I'm gonna eat. I appreciate the stream. Do. But yeah.
Yeah. No,
there you go.
It's Thank you for opening this venue of thought. Because it's
everybody's ready for bed. Well, give it a thought. We'll talk about cults more.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll have to look into it, and this is the thing though, because and we keep growing in our understanding, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, when I was younger and started being an atheist, I was. I was against Christianity, I was against most religions. That became worse. I became more and more opposed to it. Then all of a sudden, I started realizing it's not religion. It's people. But people use religion as a crutch or a stick, as you wish, to convey their totalitarian ideologies.
Yeah, it's true.
And the way you bring it forth now, it's bring in a third marker. And maybe we shouldn't call it cult. Maybe we should give it a different name, but bring in a third marker. So you have ideologies, you have authoritarian ideologies. And then you can say, okay, ideologies and religions are the same, or you can say no, they're not. So okay, ideologies, religion, and authoritarian. Yeah, this is something to think about. Thank you. Gives me something to do.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah. But this is kind of why I like having these streams. I don't care that we agree or disagree, but it's important that we try opening new venues of thought, not just close down venues of thought. Because this is what I feel is going wrong with our society. We can blame others for this, but we do it ourselves too. I mean, I recognize this in myself sometimes as well. We close avenues of thought because other people don't agree with us, therefore we can't agree. And I don't think that's in any way helpful to begin with. But I'm not sure if it's actually useful either.
Yeah.
Because that way
Yeah.
you will only create more reasons to be against each other instead of finding a way to stand next to each other. The problem isn't that people have different ideas. The problem is that people force other people to agree with them.
It's true. It's the controllers. They want to
Yeah,
control everything.
I think that therein lies. You don't have to agree with each other. You're correct on that one. You don't have to. Anyway, points to ponder. You wanted to call it quits?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat. I gotta get ready. Tomorrow's the big day. Gonna pick the kids up from the airport.
What's going to happen tomorrow then? Now I'm curious. I
Oh,
haven't.
they're coming to visit.
All right.
Devin and the baby and Drusilla and Jihoon. They're gonna be here for like 3 weeks.
And then they're going to go back to South Korea.
To Korea. Yeah.
Well, I hope she has a good
Korea.
time there. I hope they all have a good time, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I guess it must be difficult for her being so far away from her family.
Yeah, it's weird for her. But you know what? It's probably necessary because when you're that close to your mom, sometimes you got to go halfway around the world to grow up and become your own person.
Maybe. Well, there's a reason why in nearly all stories the old crone or a witch was the negative person.
I
No, it's true. It's
don't know.
it's not because they are negative, but the story is basically always the same. You have the old crone or a witch or an evil stepmother or blah 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 blah, and you have a young daughter. And at a certain point in time, they always stand across from each other. And then they always need a prince or a handsome young man or blah 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 to save the daughter from the mother. It's an analogy of becoming your own person.
Yeah, it's a
And
good analogy.
and the sickening part, and this is true within whole of human history. Men from day one are being bred to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, where women are not. Women are bred to create a stable home environment, where men are not. And the two need to come together to create a new stable home environment. Which means that the man will try and this is general speaking. This is not true for all women and all men. Don't get me wrong. But the man will then come to the woman and together they will wean off their family. So the man helps the woman to become independent from her family. To break away from the old crone, the stepmother, the evil witch, blah 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 blah. To create her own new happy ever after. And then she becomes the old witch for her daughter, and so the cycle continues. It's kind of funny because if you look at it, if you go back, this is true in religion, this is true in nearly all of the fairy tales. The role of the women have always been very important. The role of the men have been less important. I wouldn't say not important, but less important.
Oh my God, you're right. I have Grimm's fairy tales. Holy shit.
But we don't think of it like that. Because we're so indoctrinated with it that it becomes natural. In a way, it's understandable why feminism started. It's the old crones trying to stay in power.
That's deep. Right, now I'm going to have to
Now I gave
pull
you
out
something to think about.
Yeah, you gave me something to think about. All right, everybody, we're going because now we both have something to think about.
Maybe I should make a video about this one. It's kind of funny because
You should.
within psychotherapy, they talk about archetypes, often called Jungian archetypes. And a lot of archetypes are in religions, and a lot of archetypes are within stories. But sometimes, especially if you look at the way the women need to be weaned away from the old crone to start their own families, this is also an archetype, but it's often ignored. But it kind of shows the strength of women in society. I never understood when people say, well, women have always been oppressed. And I'm like, not in the Western world they haven't. The position of women may have been different than the position of men. Guess what? That's always been the case. But it wasn't of a lesser position. Hell, most Germanic cultures had the very simple rule. Men were rulers outside of the house, women were rulers inside of the house.
I like that rule. I'll take that rule.
But this is what you also see coming back in nearly all fairy tales. Fathers go out to protect. They go and save the princess, and then they start a family. They can't start a family until the princess is truly saved. Why? Because the princess starts the family.
Huh.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But yeah, it seems that feminism has basically done and did everything they could to destroy that. This is a whole different story altogether. Let's call it quits.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks
for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I really enjoy our talks. I really do. Sorry, I had to cough. I really enjoy our talks. I really do. Anyway,
Good.
Thank you all for joining us. I'm not going to say bye to everyone now. I'm sorry, guys. It is late. Toxic, Alicia, you have any last words you want to say?
No, just enjoy life, everybody.
John, anything you want to add?
He's gone.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't follow the hangout. Well, in that case, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and I'm going to end the stream. See you all next time. Come on. Oh, bloody computer. This is what it always does. See, now it starts opening stuff that I don't want it to open. Ending stream now. Bye-bye.